Well, hello there, you sexy freedomist. Coming to you live today from Rotorua Park in the sunshine to pick up the ambient noise of the birds and the cicadas and probably that guy on the microphone testing. I'm also checking out my new Samsung 7's audio quality, and so far I'm pretty impressed. So recently made the switch over from iPhone 6 Plus to Samsung 7. Why? Mainly because my iPhone 6 Plus keyboard started packing up on me after I smashed a screen earlier this year. And I've just spent way too much money on iPhones, replacing them, upgrading them. And I thought maybe it's time for a change to try out the Android operating system. And I have to say, so far I'm really impressed. Camera is incredible, especially in low light at night. The audio quality is fantastic. The apps are pretty cool. Once I learned where the back button was, I stopped trying to swipe all over the screen like on the iOS. Oh, there's a boy taking a pee in the park. And that's just probably the final change in this year of what I think has been so many changes. So if this is your first time listening to the Suitcase Entrepreneur podcast, it's also going to be your last in this format. This is episode 300. And I just want to say a huge thank you to every single listener since 2012 who has tuned in, fed back, met me in person, downloaded episodes, left reviews, stuck around to listen to over 250 interviews with guests and several more podcasts. Remember Fresh and 15 that I used to do each Thursday. I can't believe I'm up to 300 episodes. And in this episode, there's going to be no introduction, no music, no sponsor shout-outs, although I would love to thank HostGator for sponsoring me for the entire year of 2016. Without you, it costs a lot more to make this podcast every single week. I'd love to say a huge shout out to Rolly, my editor, who is thankfully continuing to work with me next year as we move into our narrative audio journal podcast, but has been the main guy editing behind the show every single week. I'm sure he must get bored of listening to me. To my team for making it possible as well. And as I said to you freedomists who tune in every week, I wanted to come back to that theme of change. So 2016 has been really a year of change. Aside from switching over to a new phone, which is a pretty big deal when you run your entire business from a laptop and a smartphone, I've also changed out major systems this year. For those of you listening in, I've switched over to Teachable for all my online courses, to ConvertKit for my email management, and to ClickFunnels for my sales funnels and landing and lead pages. Sorry, I should say sales pages. And it's been massive. I think it's taken about a month and a half to 2 months to leave behind all the old systems that I'd been with for about 5 years. And I have to say, hands down, the new systems are amazing and converting super well. Just so much more transparency behind my numbers, behind the results we're getting in terms of opt-ins, in terms of sales, in terms of tracking the community growth. Also, just in terms of interface and ease of use, the whole team have adopted them really quickly. Just realised I'm walking over to a children's park. So I wanted to take you on the road for this very final episode. I've done so many episodes of this podcast outside, on location. It's ironic that today, in terms of new stuff, I've also bought brand new podcasting equipment. So in the new year, you're going to hear hopefully a change in the audio quality. I'm using Skype for a long time with a little Samsung Go mic, which is awesome, and switching out to this whole new system of super amazing audio engineering equipment is also a big change for me in 2017. But right now I'm just talking to my Samsung 7, and I think it's going to come out pretty well, which sometimes makes me think that simple is better. So if you hear some sounds in the background, I'm by a child's park, I'm by the lake, the sun is shining, it's sparkling on the lake, it's absolutely magical. There's a float plane over to my left, there's kids on swings, there's a circus happening. Out here with my sister, her husband, my little nephew, who I'm adoring spending time with, and a friend who happens to be living here. And it is, in fact, New Year's Eve day when I'm recording this, and I wanted to do this last episode live, fully live, just embracing being outside, because that's pretty much how this podcast has rolled the whole time. It's never been planned. The interviews are never prepared. I just love asking questions on the fly as I'm curious in that moment. Which leads me to the word curious. Each year I pick a word for my year that explains and really focuses me in on what I want the next year to be like, look like, feel like, and sound like. And this year I'm taking inspiration from Mike Vardy, a good friend who took inspiration from Chris Rogan, also a friend. And I'm coming up with 3 words that will speak to my year. And while I'm doing that, I'm going to walk over to the lake because it's beautiful. Yeah, that kid's excited about my 3 words. So the 3 words are enthusiasm, curiosity, and adventure. So typically I've gone into the year with 1 word, and recently on a Facebook Live video I asked people what theirs were, and it was things like freshness, clarity, bold, relaxation, freedom, focus. And it's great, right? Because then you take that 1 word and you put it everywhere, so you see it all the time, and whenever you're feeling a little lost or misguided or off track, that's the word that you come back to, because that's what you want to have in your year. But I've chosen 3 for 3 good reasons. So, as you may have known if you've been following my journey with this business, 2016 has definitely been the year that made me realize I need a break from my business. As much as I love it and I live and breathe it, and I never really go on a holiday from it at all. In fact, Xander, my brother-in-law, was just saying, do you go on holidays, or are you on holiday all the time? And I was like, I can't really remember the last time I had a proper holiday, because I'm always on. I'm just thinking about things. I've got ideas. I'm thinking about my clients, my customers, my tribe, my community, my blog, my podcast, the future trends, and not in a horrible way either, in a way that excites me. But more recently I realized I just want to break from it all. I want to step back. I want to get refreshed, re-energized. And man, I wish you guys could see this view. In fact, I'm going to take a photo, and it's going to be the cover podcast artwork for this episode, which you can find at suitcaseentrepreneur.com/300, because this is magical here at Lake Rotorua. So anyway, I just want to go back to being a student again, and I want to become a student of life. I want to learn new things. I want to focus on personal development and growth. I want to expand my horizons, my networks. I want to get out of this particular niche of online business right now, and I want to delve into all sorts of different areas that I have no freaking idea about, because I just think that stretches you as a human. It makes you more curious, and with curiosity comes knowledge and insight and elegance and understanding and empathy. And those are all things that I really want to work on in 2017 and beyond. So I want to get enthusiastic about stuff again, because for a while there, things were just starting to be a bit meh. And for you guys who are entrepreneurs, you know this. Like, you can't always be super juiced and jazzed about your business. You really can't. Like, there's stuff going on. Sometimes you love it. Other times it de-energizes you. It feels like a stretch. It just feels like you're having to put in the grind and really hustle to make things happen. And I kind of feel after 6.5 years of doing a lot of that, and with a ton of success and also a lot of freedom and a wonderful lifestyle, I still feel like I need a change. Which brings me to curiosity. So as I said, I want to get curious about stuff. I've actually always been pretty curious, but I feel like I've lost a little bit of that mojo, because I know my stuff really well now. I'm not the expert in everything, but I know it well, and I can do it well. It's not stretching me quite as much. And I want to get curious about things again. I want to actually be excited to meet new people and to go new places and to do new things and to laugh like that little kid and just get curious about stuff again that I feel I might have just stopped focusing on. And curiosity is a wonderful, wonderful trait to have. I think it's something that kids have. They look at everything through fresh eyes. Everything's exciting and interesting to them. Just watching my nephew Morgan, I mean, simplest little things excite the heck out of him. Laughs and giggles. He's just learning every single day. And I kind of want to go back to being a kid again, which is what I've always said on this podcast. I think is one of the best ways to enjoy life. Just being a kid, being curious. And then the final word is adventure. And for once, this is not actually meaning traveling around the world, going on crazy sorts of expeditions and taking on all sorts of new experiences, although I do want to do a bit of that. For me, it's just an adventure in a new way of life. Like, what is it going to feel like without my business, without running my business? How's it going to feel to fire myself from my business for up to a year? Who knows, it might only be a month or two, and I might be like, oh, I want back. But what if it's more than a year? What if it's for life? What if I start a different business? What if I go back into a job? Okay, that is unlikely to happen. But I want a new type of adventure, and I'm calling it sort of the quest for freedom. In fact, the new podcast that will be going out around Jan 15th is a whole new format. It's going to be kind of like a Dear Diary audio journal and a little bit of narrative. So you'll be overhearing some conversations that I have with people around the world in moments related to Natalie Sisson's quest for freedom. And that's freedom from a financial point of view, from a physical point of view, from a social point of view, from a personal point of view, potentially even from a political point of view. And I'm just really excited. So that's going to be an adventure in itself. It's a new way of podcasting. It's going to be a new way of living. Like, to not have my business as the key thing that I focus on each day, along with fun and freedom, it's going to be nuts. Imagine all sorts of adventures I'm going to go on. And you are going to come on them with me, and you are going to get to have a chance to have your say and help me decide. When I was a kid, I read several of those books called Choose Your Own Adventure. And I can't remember how many times I've attempted to start a Choose Your Own Adventure type thing on the blog. And I feel like this podcast, Natalie Sisson's Quest for Freedom, is going to be a little bit like the Choose Your Own Adventure. And if you don't remember those books, you'd be reading along like maybe 2 chapters in, it'd be like, if you want Billy to go into the secret garden, turn to page 43. But if you want Billy to backtrack through the tunnel into the living room, then turn to page 72. And basically, you could take the character on the journey that you wanted them to go on, even though you weren't quite sure where it would take them. And if you didn't like your decision, like most people, you could backtrack. You know, you could go, oh shit, that was a shitty decision to make for Billy. I'm going to go back to page 43 and choose the other option. And I feel like that's what you guys are going to help me to do in 2017. I mean, I've got my plans kind of laid out. I'm also trying for once in my life not to plan and to let some of this flow. I definitely have some ideas about things I want to learn and areas, and I'll be explaining that in the first episode of the new season of Natalie Sisson's Quest for Freedom. That seagull is clearly excited about it, aren't you? If you guys can't hear the seagull, there is a seagull in the background. And yeah, I'm just really excited about it. It's going to be such a change from everything that I've done, and I just can't wait. And I've been really leading up to it this year to hand over to my awesome, small and talented team to set up new systems. I'm all set up on Xero now for all financial accounting. I've got real transparency across what my business really does, which has been eye-opening and enlightening, and it's been actually a super successful year. But I've also spotted how much more I've invested in team and systems and fees. Thank you very much, PayPal. And it's just been a really enlightening year. Switching over every single fundamental system you have in your business to a new foundation is quite the change. Changing out team completely, and all great team members, but changing them over completely for new ones and getting some old ones back on board has also been really enlightening. Having the worst launch of my year and learning so much from it, like that launch was the final tipping point for me to have a business sabbatical. It's just been amazing. And this podcast has taught me so much too. I don't know if you listened to my recent and very last interview ever with Michael Gerber. Like, that was kind of, wow, there's some full-on beat going on out there. It was kind of enlightening as well. Like, I'm really excited to not be interviewing people anymore, even though I've learned a lot over the years and I've enjoyed the guests that I've had on, and I almost always learn something from them. I really like the freedom of not having to interview people anymore and just be able to talk about what I want to talk about, what you want me to talk about, and things that I want to cover and go on. And if you're interested in it, come with me, and if you're not, you can just tune out. But the interview with Michael Gerber was really fascinating. I know he's super well respected by so many people, and he had some good insights, but man, he was also frustrating. And a friend noted that he even talked down at one point a little bit to me across all the interviews he's been doing. And that's never a cool thing. That never sits well with me. But also when I challenged him on things and asked for different answers, sometimes those answers were avoided. And that's not a bad thing, but I want to go forward and have conversations with people where they are willing to discuss the really important stuff, where they are willing to be challenged, where we can have a conversation, a debate, or an enlightening discussion on the podcast, where I don't have to be interviewing somebody about what it takes to build an online business or travel hack or lifestyle. Like, we're going to be discussing aspects of freedom, man, like really exciting topics. Once again, the seagull is very excited about that. So I hope you tune in next year. I hope you come on this journey with me. I think you're going to like it. And I do think it is a totally different style of podcast that is either going to resonate with you or not, but I'm really hoping you enjoy it. And reflecting back on this Suitcase Entrepreneur podcast, 300 episodes recorded over 4.5 years, over 1.7 million downloads now. Just crazy. I mean, I'm really proud of it. I'm super thrilled that you freedomists have enjoyed listening in and stuck with me. I've had several messages on social media of people going, I'm going to miss the interviews and hearing you, but I'm going to be right here. In fact, this feed that you are listening to right now, if you haven't subscribed in iTunes or Stitcher or SoundCloud or iHeartRadio, all these new places that I'm managing to distribute the podcast to, please do, because you're going to get fresh updates as of Jan 15th. I'm going to continue on this feed. It's just going to be rebranded. And if you guys are interested to know why it's Natalie Sisson's Quest for Freedom, because a few people were like, just have Quest for Freedom. When I initially was going to call it that, I was with my mastermind group in Sydney, and they're like, yeah, but you know what? That's just so generic and so broad. Like, freedom is a massive topic. And we want to know what Natalie's doing in her year off. We want to know what quest she's going on, not just a quest about freedom. That could actually be quite research-based and could be potentially very interesting, but also slightly more at a broader level. And they're like, what about Natalie's quest for freedom? What does it feel like to fire yourself from your business? What does it feel like to go out and discover new things and become a student again and learn new things? So that's what it's all about. As I said, it's going to be a narrative audio journal style podcast, no interviews, but conversations on location, snippets of information, really just the behind the scenes into my life and what I'm doing as I embark on this quest for freedom in 2017. By the way, somebody's coming towards me on one of those paddle boats. So cool. You know the ones when you lean back and you push your knees around to make it go somewhere, but you don't actually have a ton of control, so you kind of go around in circles? Yeah, one of those. That one's squeaky. And there's kayakers out here, and there's a few paddle boarders. It's pretty beautiful. As I said, I'll take a photo. And there's a smiley face balloon in the air with somebody paragliding. This is the kind of stuff you're going to come on with me next year, and this is why I wanted to shoot this last audio podcast on location. So yeah, I'm really excited. I'm super thrilled about 2017. Please do me a favor. Hit me up on Twitter, Facebook or Instagram. I'm at Natalie Sisson, and tell me your 3 words for 2017. It's probably easiest on Instagram, so just at Natalie Sisson, and just message me, even if you want to put up an image of where the heck you're at right now when you're listening to this, and throw your 3 words under it and tag me at Natalie Sisson. And I just really want to know what 2017 holds for you. You now know what it holds for me. In fact, it's a bit of an adventure. I don't even know what it holds for me, but you know what it doesn't hold for me. And I'm super excited to know, what are you going to do that is different in 2017? How are you going to step up and level up? How are you going to live your life with so much more joy, happiness and freedom, enthusiasm and adventure and curiosity? Or your own words. How are you going to make that your best year ever? What are you going to change? What are you going to do differently? What are you going to give up in order to embrace the new? And I'm going to be talking about that on the new podcast, human potential, human growth, some of those key areas that I want to look into and research, but just bring you the best of the best as I'm experiencing it. So think of me as the human guinea pig as we go into 2017. If there's anything in particular you want me to focus on or understand or research kind of on your behalf that is related to freedom and having more freedom in your business and in your life, then once again, hit me up. I'm going to have all of this is going to be happening over at nataliesisson.com, where you can find out more about the quest that is now live. But also, the podcast is still going to be fed into Suitcase Entrepreneur, so there's just no way that you can kind of escape me. Sorry about that, but hopefully you like it. 2017 is going to rock. It is going to be epic. Once again, I'm going to leave you with 3 words that you want to summarize your 2017. What are the 3 words that you are going to have in your vocabulary and focus on all year to make sure that your dreams come true, that you turn your dreams into a reality, and that basically you have the best freaking year ever in 2017. I'll leave you with that thought. suitcaseentrepreneur.com/300. Come and check out the episode. If you want to go into 2017 and have your ideal year yet, my workshop on how to do that can be found at suitcaseentrepreneur.com/workshop. For the hundreds and hundreds of people who have gone through it already, it's fantastic. You get your own content editorial marketing calendar template to set you up for the entire year. Highly recommend it. It's awesome. It's included. And if you're really sort of struggling on how you're going to get that focus in the new year and what you want to be doing, check out that workshop on how to plan your ideal year. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. I truly mean this, getting a little emotional here at the lake. This has been an epic epic adventure, an epic journey. You have made it all possible. I've turned up every single week, sometimes more, for you, to get this podcast out to you, to hopefully in some way influence you, make an impact, educate you, change something that you're doing, help you further, and maybe just from time to time entertain you. So thank you, my beautiful freedomist, for listening in, whether it was from 2012 or just today. Thank you for making the Suitcase Entrepreneur podcast one of my favorite things in the world to get up to and do every single week for the last 4.5 years. I thank you so much, and I look forward to taking you on the next adventure with me and for you to share your adventures with me. And have a brilliant new year if you're listening to this before 2017, and if you're already in 2017, here's to the best year ever.